hospitals, places of healing, but late at night, under flickering fluorescent lights, they become something else entirely. Empty corridors, quiet rooms, and the feeling that someone, or something, is always watching. You've heard the whispers. The stories passed down by nurses and doctors too afraid to speak the truth out loud. Tales of shadows lurking in the corners of your vision, unexplained cold spots, and voices echoing from empty rooms. These are 3 true hospital horror stories that were never meant to be told. Picture this, a young nurse, Elisa, working the night shift at a mid-sized hospital in Ohio. The clock ticks past 2 a.m., the dead of night, when even the sickest patients find a moment of uneasy slumber. Elisa, making her rounds, her footsteps echoing in the eerie silence, passes room 209. It should be empty. The patient chart confirms it, discharged earlier that day, but something's not right. A voice, soft and whispering, seems to seep from the room. A woman's voice, hushed, as if sharing a secret with the darkness. Elisa pauses, her hand hovering over the chart, a chill crawling up her spine. Driven by a nurse's duty, she peeks through the small window in the door. The room is bathed in the unsettling yellow glow of the overhead light. The bed, stripped bare, is neatly made. But the chair in the corner, the one patients often favor for visitors, it's moving, rocking back and forth, slowly, rhythmically, as if occupied by an unseen presence. Fear, cold and sharp, pierces Elisa's composure. Her breath catches in her throat. She needs to know, needs to see. With a trembling hand, she reaches for the light switch outside the room, flicking it on. The hallway floods with light, and as if startled by the sudden brightness, the rocking stops. The chair is still, empty. Elisa, shaken to her core, backs away from the room, her heart pounding against her ribs. She tells herself it's just a draft, a trick of the mind, the exhaustion playing games in the dead of night. But deep down, a seed of unease has been planted. The next morning, desperate for a logical explanation, Elisa scours the security footage. For hours she watches, her eyes glued to the screen, searching for someone, anyone entering or leaving room 209. But the footage is irrefutable. The door never opens. Not once. And yet there it is, the chair, moving slowly, steadily, back and forth for a full minute, as if occupied by an unseen entity. Elisa can't shake the feeling that something is deeply wrong with that room. A chill runs down her spine every time she passes by. The memory of that whispering voice, the rocking chair, burned into her mind. Her fears are only solidified when a seasoned co-worker, his face etched with years of hospital tales, pulls her aside. Room 209, he murmurs, his voice low, conspiratorial. They don't tell you this in orientation, but a patient died in that room 6 months ago, alone, in that chair. Elisa's blood runs cold. She never goes near room 209 again. Our next story takes us to the chaotic world of the ER, where life and death hang in the balance. Devin, a seasoned ER technician, thought he'd seen it all during his years working the graveyard shift. But nothing could prepare him for the events that unfolded in 2020. It was a night like any other. The low hum of machines, the murmur of worried voices, the ever-present anticipation of the unknown. Then, it happened. Code blue. Second floor. The words crackled over the intercom, instantly shattering the fragile calm. Devin and his team, adrenaline surging, sprang into action. They rushed towards the stairwell, their footsteps pounding in unison, a grim symphony of urgency. Reaching the second floor, they were met with an unsettling sight: darkness. The hallway, usually awash in the pale glow of fluorescent lights, was shrouded in an almost unnatural blackness. No panicked nurses, no frantic doctors, no desperate scramble to save a life. Just an unnerving silence and an oppressive darkness that seemed to cling to the air. Devin, his heart pounding in his chest, raised his radio to his lips, his voice tight with apprehension. "Second floor, we're here, what's the status, where's the patient?" The response came back instantly, chillingly calm amidst the mounting tension. "You're responding to room 233, cardiac arrest, male, mid-50s. Devin froze, a wave of icy dread washing over him. Room 233, he knew that room. Everyone in the hospital knew that room. It had been under renovation for over a year. Gutted, empty, unusable. A cold sweat prickled at his skin. He exchanged uneasy glances with his team, their faces mirroring his own growing horror. They cautiously approached room 233, the silence amplifying every creak of their shoes on the linoleum floor. The door, usually left ajar, was firmly shut. Taking a deep breath, Devin pushed the door open. the hinges groaning in protest as if warning them of the horrors within. The room was as they remembered it, a hollow shell, stripped bare, exposed pipes and wires snaking across the walls like skeletal remains. Dust motes danced in the faint light filtering in from the hallway, but something wasn't right. In the corner, where a bedside monitor should never be, a single light blinked steadily. Beep, 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 the unmistakable rhythm of a heart monitor, desperately clinging to a life that wasn't there. Devon, his breath catching in his throat, stared at the impossible sight, his mind struggling to reconcile the evidence of his own eyes with the chilling reality of the situation. The next day, shaken and disturbed, Devon found himself seeking answers, his mind unable to let go of the events of the previous night. He found himself drawn to the older staff, the ones who had witnessed the hospital's evolution, its secrets whispered through the years. He found an old security guard, his face weathered with time and untold stories, sitting alone in the staff break room. Devon hesitated, then approached cautiously. "I need to ask about something," he began, his voice barely above a whisper. "About room 233. The guard's eyes flickered up, a knowing look in their depths. "Ah, 233, he sighed, leaning back in his chair. "We don't talk about 233. Devon pressed on, his curiosity overriding his apprehension. But the code blue. The heart monitor. It was... The guard held up a hand, silencing him. "Listen," he said, his voice low and grave. "We all know what happened in that room. We all know someone still dies there. But it's not our shift anymore. Let the dead rest." Devon, his blood running cold, realized the futility of his pursuit. Some things, he realized with a shudder, were best left undisturbed. He never questioned the code blue in room 233 again. Chapter 3. The Morgue Elevator. Our final story takes us across the globe to the bustling city of Mumbai, India, where Dr. Ravi, a dedicated physician, encountered a chilling mystery within the walls of his hospital. It was just after midnight, the hospital cloaked in an unsettling stillness. Dr. Ravi, his eyes heavy with exhaustion, was finishing up paperwork on the third floor. The only sounds were the gentle hum of computers and the distant murmur of the city that never sleeps. He stretched, his back stiff from hours hunched over his desk, and decided to call it a night. He walked towards the elevator, his footsteps echoing in the deserted hallway. He pressed the down button, the soft chime of the elevator arriving a welcome sound in the oppressive silence. The doors slid open, revealing an empty car, its metallic interior reflecting the dim overhead light. Dr. Ravi stepped inside, the doors closing behind him with a soft whoosh. He pressed the button for G, ground floor, eager to escape the eerie quiet of the hospital and head home. But something was wrong. The elevator didn't slow down. It continued its descent, passing the ground floor without a pause. Dr. Ravi, his brow furrowed in confusion, watched in disbelief as the floor indicator ticked down, B1, B2, and then B3, the basement levels. The elevator shuddered to a halt on B3, the doors sliding open to reveal a sight that sent a shiver down Dr. Ravi's spine. A long, cold corridor stretched before him, shrouded in darkness, the air thick with the smell of dampness and decay. He recognized it instantly, the old morgue level, sealed off years ago after a devastating flood had rendered it unusable. A wave of unease washed over him. This entire level was supposed to be off-limits, inaccessible, a forgotten relic of the hospital's past. And yet, here he was. As if sensing his arrival, the flickering fluorescent lights sputtered to life, casting long, distorted shadows that danced along the walls. Dr. Ravi's finger hovered over the G button, but the elevator remained unresponsive. He was trapped. Suddenly, at the far end of the corridor, he noticed movement. A gurney draped in a white sheet rolled into view, its wheels squeaking against the cold concrete floor. It moved slowly, steadily, as if pushed by an unseen hand. Dr. Ravi watched, paralyzed with fear, as the gurney stopped directly in front of the elevator doors, the white sheet billowing slightly, as if disturbed by a phantom breeze. And then, the lights went out, plunging the entire level into an impenetrable darkness. The last thing Dr. Ravi remembered was the overwhelming sensation of dread, the feeling of unseen eyes watching him from the shadows. When he regained consciousness, he found himself back on the ground floor, the elevator doors standing open as if nothing had happened. He stumbled out, his mind reeling, his body trembling. He checked his watch. 2 hours had passed. 2 hours that he couldn't account for. He reported the incident to security, his voice shaky as he recounted his experience. But the security guards, their faces impassive, assured him that the elevator's logs showed no record of ever going below the ground floor. Dr. Ravi knew what he had seen. He knew what he had experienced, and from that day forward, he vowed to always use the stairs. Hospitals save lives, but late at night, when silence takes over, they become something else entirely. The beeping of machines takes on a new, sinister rhythm. The rustling of sheets sounds like whispers from unseen presences. So if you ever find yourself alone, walking a quiet hospital corridor, don't trust what you hear behind the doors. Don't look too closely at the shadows that dance at the edge of your vision, because in these places where life and death walk hand in hand, some things are best left undisturbed. Subscribe to Unhinged Nightmares for a new true horror story every night. Like if you've ever had a creepy hospital experience, and share this video so others know what really happens after midnight.